For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And RF Group, money at work.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the Record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is November 5th, 2021, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road, and if you do so, then the life you save may just be your own. If you're celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday. To those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and also that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing. If you're not feeling well today and you're either at home or at a medical facility, we wish you a speedy recovery. If you're either in quarantine or in isolation because of COVID-19, we also hope and trust that you will be testing negative as soon as it is possible, and that you're released as soon as possible as well. So folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy and potentially dangerous roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, the phone lines are open, and when she's not on vacation, that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson is waiting to take your calls. And she's usually here, like everyone else, required to take a vacation. But, as soon as that is over, she's right back in the studio because she loves this place like no other person. She really loves her job and loves Radio Cayman, and we know that the people of the Cayman Islands love her as well because they're always calling her whenever they know that she is in the studio. So Miss Susan's beautiful radio voice is waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. Email us at For the Record, one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925 3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. We know that Radio Cayman has a lot of loyal listeners as well. We want to give a big shout out to Miss Amagol, who's a big fan of Radio Cayman. Also give a big shout out to Miss Esther and Mr. Cassidy. Also Miss Lilame. Big shout out all for the listeners. And I know taking a risk when I call a few names, but all of you out there who are huge fans of Radio Cayman and who rely on Radio Cayman for your news, for your weather reports, and everything else, all of your community events that are taking place, the music. No other radio station in the Cayman Islands plays the type of music that is played on Radio Cayman. You get a variety of it depending on the time of the day, and they promote all of our local artists as well. So big shout out to all of you who continue to listen to Radio Cayman, and we give you our assurances that we will continue to endeavor to keep you up to speed in terms of what is happening in the Cayman Islands. And I'm going to do that this morning by giving you the latest COVID-19 update that was received for yesterday, the 4th of November, 2021. And the Public Health Department reported that as of 8 a.m. on Wednesday, the 3rd of November, there had been 1,115 PCR tests conducted in the prior 24 hours. Of those, there were 126 positive tests, comprising 1 traveler and 125 from the community. These results bring the number of active cases of COVID-19 in the Cayman Islands to 1,421 as of 8 a.m. on Wednesday, the 3rd of November. And I'm going to pause there for a second and say, of course, we're now into Friday, and no doubt there likely, when the next report comes out, there will likely be an increase in those numbers as well, because we do see the community spread continuing as well. The report goes on to say that the total number of cases recorded in the Cayman Islands since the start of the pandemic stands at 2,482 as of 8 o'clock on Wednesday as well. Also, as of 8 a.m. on Thursday, the 4th of November, there were 76 active cases in the sister islands, with 4 of those cases identified in the previous 24 hours. All of the new cases were from the community as well. No travelers, all from the community. The report goes on to point out that there are currently 11 COVID-19 patients hospitalized in the Cayman Islands, with 2 receiving supplemental oxygen. There are no patients on ventilators. There are currently no COVID-19 related pediatric admissions, and all hospitalized patients are in stable condition. As of 8 a.m. on Thursday, the 4th of November, there have been 116,507 COVID-19 vaccinations given in total in the Cayman Islands. Of these, 56,887, representing 80% of the estimated population of 71,106, have had at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and 54 1,690, representing 77%, have completed the 2-dose course. Additionally, 4,930, which represents 26% of those over the age of 50, have had a third booster dose as well. So that's the latest COVID-19 report that we have received. Now, we do know that there are persons out there who have contracted COVID-19, and we feel for you, we empathize with you, and we wish you a speedy and a full recovery as well. Anecdotal evidence also suggests that there are lots of persons out there with COVID-19 who are basically keeping it to themselves, and that is your prerogative. If no one has to know what your medical condition is, that's your private information. But if you are keeping it secret because you were, and maybe still are, an anti-vaxxer, and you're a little bit ashamed because you refused to get vaccinated, but now the stark reality has hit home, like we have seen in other jurisdictions. Unfortunately, in the Cayman Islands, we have not reached that point yet where persons are on their deathbed and are then urging others to take the vaccine because they realize the folly of their decision. So fortunately, we're not in that position, but hopefully those persons who were anti-vaxxers and have now contracted COVID-19 will consider taking the vaccine as well. And you may question, well, I already contracted COVID. Why should I take it now? And there are a myriad of reasons why you should do that as well. We have heard some people talk about the fact that if you contracted COVID-19 once, you can't contract it again. We know that that is a fallacy as well. So by being vaccinated after whatever period of time that has to pass before you actually are allowed to do so, you should do so, because if you were to contract it a second time, then there's that strong possibility that by being vaccinated, the severity of COVID-19 will be reduced as well. And basically what I'm saying there is, if you are a person who's against taking the vaccine, and it is simply not because of any underlying reason, not because of any medical reason, but because of your personal position in relation to it, you may want to reconsider your decision, especially if now you have come down with COVID-19 as well. Folks, I'm going to take a break at this point in time. I have some additional information that I would like to share with you coming from ECLAC, the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, talking about the prevalence of non-communicable diseases in the Caribbean and what that presence is doing in terms of exasperating the situation as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Reverend John Ray Gray, MBE, 1910 to 1992. John Gray was born in Scotland and educated as a mining engineer. While working in the coal fields of Lancashire, he received a calling to enter the ministry, and in 1937 he was ordained as a minister of the Church of Scotland. His first posting was to Nazarland, now Malawi. In 1939, at the beginning of World War II, he was posted to Jamaica. In 1948, he was invited by Reverend George Hicks to visit the Cayman Islands, and in 1949, he and his wife, Mary Nee Wright, and their 2 children, they would eventually have 5, arrived in Cayman to stay. He was posted to the West Bay charge of the Presbyterian Church, which now bears his name, and under his auspices, he started Cayman High School, also later named for him. He served as headmaster from 1949 to 1974, then worked as a bookkeeper for 10 years, remaining active in the United Church all his life. He was a Sea Scout Master, a life member of the Red Cross, and a charter member and Paul Harris Fellow of the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
The Rotary Central Music Extravaganza 2021 tickets are here. Get your $25 ticket and stand a chance to win the grand prize of $40,000, second prize $4,000, and 6 $1,000 prizes. The Music Extravaganza music event, Saturday, November 27th at Salty's Grand Harbor, featuring CNB, Deja Blue, The Fabulous 68s. Tickets now on sale by Rotary members, authorized ticket sellers, and at eventpro.ky. 26 years of Rotary Music Extravaganza, funding over 70 community projects of significance since 1995. Rotary Central, Cayman Islands. Registered not-for-profit number 232. Rotary Central. Serve to change lives.
Had a look at those investment options yet?
Too busy. Look at today. Workout, breakfast, take the kids to school, back-to-back meetings, take Pepper to the vet, and she's apparently got allergies now, so... And that was all before 12. But you look relaxed.
That's because my money's as busy as you.
With RF, you can access the best in local and international investments to keep your money busy, so you can spend more time focusing on you. Contact us at rfgroup.com to find out more. RF, money at work.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamt Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamt Motors, Walkers Road.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery. your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I want to remind our listening and viewing audience that His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Martyn Roper, is expected to be on the show at 8:20 after our 8 o'clock news as well. And he will be talking about the COVID-19 situation as well. And I'm sure that he will share with us any news from the UK. I'm sure that everyone or some people may be interested now that we see the news where the UK has approved a pill that can be used to treat COVID-19 as well. So there will be questions about that in terms of when it will be available, and especially available here in the Cayman Islands as well. So I'm not sure whether or not the governor will have any answer for that, but we will see, and that question can be asked of him as well. Meanwhile, the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean issued a press release, and it speaks about the high prevalence of non-communicable diseases in the Caribbean and how it is those are exacerbating the pandemic's impact and hindering the subregion's progress towards sustainable development. And it says this was issued, talks about Alicia Barcina, Executive Secretary of ECLAC, and Camilo Gonzalez, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning, and Information Technology of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, led a seminar on this issue prior to the 20th meeting of the Monitoring Committee of the Caribbean Development and Cooperative Committee. The high prevalence of non-communicable diseases in the Caribbean, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and cancer, is exacerbating the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and hindering the subregion's progress towards achieving sustainable development due to their multiple health, economic, and social consequences, according to the authorities. Representatives of international organizations and specialists participating in a virtual event organized by the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, known by the acronyms ECLAC, E-C-L-A-C, and goes on to say that there was a seminar on this particular issue as well. And the Minister of Finance moderated. The moderator was Diane Corliss, Director of ECLAC's sub-regional headquarters for the Caribbean, located in Port of Spain. She's quoted as saying, "Not only does the COVID-19 pandemic continue to rage in the Caribbean, she also affirmed upon emphasizing that it is one of the subregions of the worlds with the highest prevalence of non-communicable disease." So the Caribbean she pointed out that is the case, right? Data from the World Health Organization shows that non-communicable diseases are the main cause of death in the sub-region countries, ranging from 57% in Haiti to 83% in Barbados, she stressed. In each Caribbean country, more than half of all deaths annually can be attributed to the non-communicable diseases, which also contribute significantly to disability, they warn. They go on to say that the pandemic has aggravated the risks that people with non-communicable diseases face. Not only do they continue to be at greater risk of dying or suffering severe illness from COVID-19 infection, they also have been affected by interruptions in healthcare, due to services being overburdened. In this context, the high-level United Nations representative called for accelerating vaccination efforts. The rate of full vaccination in the Caribbean amounts to 35.2%, with great difference between countries. This percentage, they indicated, is below the global rate of 39% and that of Latin America, 47.5%. They quoted as saying the entire region of Latin America and the Caribbean should strengthen production, distribution, and access to medicines and vaccines. To achieve this, on September the 18th, ECLAC presented the plan for self-sufficiency in health matters requested by the community of Latin America and the Caribbean. So the minister from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in his remarks, expressed appreciation for the opportunity to address the problem of non-communicable diseases at a time when all Caribbean countries are fighting the pandemic, and many of their ministers and leaders are talking about climate change and the subregion's future in the framework of the 26th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP26. And he's quoted as saying non-communicable diseases are responsible for 6 of the 10 main causes of death in the subregion, and they entail a heavy economic cost for governments due to high health expenditures as well as people. The minister also said that non-communicable diseases have a disproportionate impact on people living in poverty, which means that addressing them constitutes a development challenge for the Caribbean, which is also true for other phenomena such as climate change. Goes on to say non-communicable diseases are within our control. They are preventable. The minister acknowledged, affirming that current policies are not effective because they are not sufficiently focused on prevention, nor do they include cross-sector and coordinated approaches. So that is basically goes on for quite a bit. But the message that they're trying to get across is that in addition to COVID-19, we have all of these non-communicable diseases such as, diabetes, high blood pressure, other diseases as well. And as a result of that, makes the COVID-19 situation even more impactful, and that we really need to concentrate on that. And we see our public health there in the Cayman Islands doing quite a bit in terms, as well as civic organizations imploring us to try to be healthy, live a healthy lifestyle as well. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, 8:20, His Excellency, the Governor, will be on For the Record. So please stay tuned for The Record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Foster's is 7:59.
For Thanksgiving, are you thinking roast turkey or glazed ham?
Ooh, let's go turkey.
Great. Now for sides, let's do scalloped potatoes, mac and cheese, and steamed herb vegetables.
Yum.
And for dessert, should we go apple or pumpkin pie?
Pumpkin for sure. But when will you have the time to cook this feast?
Oh, I won't be cooking. I'm ordering a holiday dinner from Foster's. They start from just $79.99 and are easy to order online. Just head to fosters.ky.
Easy, delicious Thanksgiving holiday dinners, only from Foster's.
The 8 a.m. News is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Please be advised that the pension contribution holiday has been extended until 31st of December 2021. Employers and plan members should ensure arrangements are in place for salary deductions and remittance following this date. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, keeping you informed. For further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. We're here for you.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. Another government department shutters for deep cleaning. The East End Public Library will be closed today and tomorrow. This measure comes after an employee tested positive for COVID-19. Other members of staff will also be tested during the closure. The East End Public Library invites patrons to return materials via its outdoor book drop. If you'd like to borrow a book, you can access the Cayman Islands Public Library Services ebook collection at cipls.gov.ky. The library reopens to the public at 10 a.m. on Monday. A 22-year-old West Bay man is formally charged with possession of an unlicensed firearm after turning himself in to authorities last Tuesday. He was wanted in connection with a report of shots fired in West Bay in early July. He appeared in court on Thursday and was remanded into custody. He'll appear in Grand Court on November 12th. School inspectors rate Little Trotter's farm and nursery as excellent, the second such rating since 2019. Areas the school performs well in include achievement of the children in learning areas of exploration, respect, communication, and well-being, teaching, learning, and assessment, curriculum, safety, and support and guidance. The leadership of the center was also called, quote, highly effective. Only one recommendation was made in the inspector's report for the center to secure all external gates in line with regulatory bodies. And finally, track and field legend Jerry Harper has been laid to rest. The Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage and the Pines Retirement Home held a memorial service for the sports pioneer at the country's national stadium Truman Bodden Sports Complex Thursday evening. About 50 people were in attendance to show their respect to the sporting icon who passed away at the Pines Retirement Home on October 24th. Minister for Sports, the Honorable Bernie Bush.
Mr. Harper was a founder of the Cayman Islands Athletic Association back in the early 70s. He also received a certificate and badge of honor on Heroes Day for his contributions to education in the Cayman Islands. In 2018, he was honored on National Heroes Day as a pioneer in sports. He also founded the Phoenix Athletic Track Club, helped create and organize many of Cayman's local running events, and served as vice president of the Cayman Islands Athletic Association. Mr. Harper coached some of Cayman's best athletes, such as the Black Barefoot Brigade, which consisted of athletes like the Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, Horacio Esteban, one of our top artists in the country, Peter Thompson, to just name a few. He also coached others like Kareem Street Thompson, Rael Roberts, Richard Sims, Ryan Haylock, Herfa Ebanks, Wanda Perry, Perry Anglin, Edward Madison, and many, many more.
Jerry Harper was 83 years old. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. 9 anti-government factions in Ethiopia, including the Tigray People's Liberation Front, say they're joining forces to fight the government of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. The move comes as Tigrayan forces advance towards the capital a year after civil war broke out. The government in Addis Ababa has said it's determined to win what it calls an existential war. Thousands of young people are rallying in Glasgow, where the UN Climate Summit is focusing on youth. The Swedish teenager, Greta Thunberg, who launched the Fridays for Future movement, will address fellow campaigners. Researchers say the carbon footprint of the world's richest people threatens the goal of keeping global warming under 1.5 degrees Celsius, despite commitments made in the run-up to the COP26 conference. China has announced that it will punish those it believes are advocating Taiwan's independence by making them criminally liable for life. Beijing claims the island as part of its territory and insists they must eventually be reunited. The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, says she's disturbed by last week's military coup in Sudan. She told an emergency session of the Rights Council in Geneva that at least 13 people had died at the hands of the Sudanese armed forces. Britain's Brexit Minister David Frost is holding talks in Brussels about a dispute over Northern Ireland. He's discussing the matter with the European Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič. Britain wants to change an agreement designed to prevent the need for a hard border on the island of Ireland. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Are you aware of the performance of your pension plan? The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan provides quarterly fund fact sheets for our members to stay informed with the plan's performance. For the year ended 30th of April, 2021, the various life cycle funds have provided returns between 10.5% and 43.2%. And our all-in expense ratio for year ended 30th of June, 2020 is currently the lowest it's ever been. 0.72%. Visit chamberpension.ky to review our fund fact sheets. You can see the performance as far back as 10 years. Remember that pensions are a longer-term investment strategy. Focus on the long-term rather than the short-term returns. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan continues to perform for you.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
You can now register online to receive a securely verified digital copy of your COVID-19 vaccination status with QR code through the My HSA patient portal. Sign up is available online and at all HSA locations. All you need is your photo ID showing date of birth and an email address. Visit hsa.ky and click the My HSA patient portal icon to get started.
Radio Cayman News.
COVID cases in the sister islands dominated our news this week.
We'll be working with the ministry to look at the deployment of lateral flow tests.
Due to the increasing number of cases, all positive and negative results will now be sent out automatically.
The CDC does say people should be fully vaccinated before traveling to Cayman.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
The 8:10 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
For over 100 years, more than 5.8 million people across the Americas and the Caribbean have placed their trust in Pan American Life Insurance Group. We have delivered and proven that we are more than an insurance company. We are family. To learn more about our first-in-class individual and group life, disability and accident solutions, please visit Pan American International Insurance Corporation at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Song Road, Grand Cayman, or contact us at 949-8304 and visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 78 degrees. Relative humidity is 96%. The barometric pressure is 29.91 inches and rising. The winds are calm. Overnight low temperature was 76 degrees. Synopsis indicate a cold front over the southern Gulf of Mexico. will enter the northwest Caribbean and into the Cayman area by tomorrow. As the front approaches, the chances of showers will increase from tonight and some thunder expected. The National Hurricane Center is issuing advisories on Tropical Storm Wanda, located over the north central Atlantic. If you need additional details on the system, you can visit www.nhc.noaa.gov. This storm poses no threat to the Cayman Islands. Now, the forecast for today is calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 40% chance of afternoon showers. Temperatures will be in the low 80s today. Winds will be light and variable, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 60% chance of showers and some thunder tonight. Temperatures falling to the low 70s. Winds will be light and variable, becoming northerly at 5 to 10 knots tonight. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 9:59, low tide this afternoon at 3:58, and a high tide again tonight at 9:15. The sun will set this evening at 5:48 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:29. And the outlook is calling for cloudy skies, showers and thunder expected through Saturday night, with a gradual improvement expected thereafter. That's the very latest on your weather report.
The 8:10 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
For over 100 years, more than 5.8 million people across the Americas and the Caribbean have placed their trust in Pan American Life Insurance Group. We have delivered on our promise and have proven that we're more than just an insurance company, we're family. To learn more about our first-in-class group health and employee benefit solutions, please visit Pan American Life Insurance Company of the Cayman Islands at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Sound Road, Grand Cayman, or contact us at 949-8304. You can also visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving your goals is a very rewarding feeling, but at times can feel very frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success.
When setting your goals, celebrate your progress. It's important to acknowledge progress each step of the way as you achieve your goals. Everything that you do to move in that direction gets you a little closer. Planning small rewards along the way can help to keep things interesting and give us a taste of what sweet success will be like.
Change your thinking and change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at how your traffic is shaping up this morning. Busy traffic coming from the east on Crew Road, heading to Georgetown, and eastbound traffic on Crew Road moving on moderately. Steady traffic on Huldah Avenue, and traffic is busy on the Linford Pearson Highway and coming off of Agnes Way. Light to moderate traffic flow on Edward Street, and traffic is flowing pretty good on Shedden Road. On the West Bay Road, traffic flowing at a good pace as well on, especially in front of the Ritz, and Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue traffic is flowing pretty good. From the West Bay four-way stop, moderate flow of traffic. If you've seen accidents or incidents on Cayman's roads, you give us a call here at Radio Cayman at 949-6990. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock for another traffic report.
At Subway, we caramel a lot about our customers, so we decided to give you 2 treats in one with the new Caramel Apple Cookie. Enjoy cinnamon apples, caramel bits, and salted caramel crunch baked in, and topped with a drizzle of caramel-flavored icing. Gooey, crunchy, and yummy. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious Caramel Apple Cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert, available for limited time at all Subway locations. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Dreaming of a great career or degree? The Caribbean Examinations Council offers regionally and internationally recognized qualifications to help you get there. These include the Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence, CCSLC, the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, CSEC, the Caribbean Vocational Qualification, CVQ, Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE, and the CXC Associate Degree. These exams may be done while in school or out of school at private learning institutions. Visit cxc.org to learn more. With CXC, you're in control.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Did you know you must ensure all utensils are washed with detergent and rinsed with hot water if they make contact with flood water? For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
We give you honor and praise, adoration and glory.
Radio Cayman.
Praise time.
Praise him, praise him. Come and let's praise the Lord. Come and let's praise the Lord. Praise him in the morning and in the evening. Oh, let's praise the Lord.
Praise time in the morning.
Praise him, praise him.
Weekdays 6 to 6:30 a.m.
Radio Cayman, waking you up.
Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite. Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite.
Praise time.
I know he cares. He'll always be there. Oh, yeah. Praise him, praise him, praise him.
Praise time.
Set your clock for 6 a.m. or you will miss it.
For the record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure now to have in the studio with me none other than His Excellency, the Governor, Mr. Martyn Roper. Before I introduce him, I'm going to encourage our listeners and viewers to send us emails. Email address is for the record, one word, for the record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp number 925-3261. We will open up the phone lines later on in the show, but if you have any questions, if you have any observations, please send them to us by either email or WhatsApp. This way, you're certain that we will be able to cover them for you, because there's no guarantee when we open up the phone lines that everyone will be able to get on as well. So again, I remind you, email For the Record at candw.ky and send us text messages on our WhatsApp 925-3261. The governor say he's ready to talk about anything that you want to talk about, as long as it's something that can be spoken talk about on the radio. I know, my friend in Cayman Brac, on Wednesday, I did say to him, well, the governor's coming in to talk about COVID-19, because he wanted to talk about something else. So that sort of releases him a little bit, if he wants to call in as well. So, Governor, good morning, sir. Welcome back to For the Record. Good to have you in the show again.
Good morning, OC, if I may call you that. It's what you're known around town as, and it's always a pleasure to come on your show. So delighted to be here.
Thank you very much. And for the people of the Cayman Islands, I want to say to you that the governor represents not only the UK, but also the people of the Cayman Islands. And when he took his oath of office, that is included in it. Now, when the interests of the United Kingdom come in conflict with the interests of the Cayman Islands, then that's another story. That's when he has to represent the United Kingdom. But he also represents the Cayman Islands as well, and that's why he's there in the studio this morning to talk about COVID-19 and other issues that may be affecting the Cayman Islands as well. And Governor, again, I want to thank you very much for making yourself available to come on the show as well. I know the people of the Cayman Islands appreciate it. They want to hear from someone. I keep saying that the Cayman Islands at this stage, we need a consoler-in-chief or a reassurer-in-chief. And if you can give that to us, we certainly appreciate it as well, sir.
All right. Well, it is a pleasure to be here. And let me say again what a great privilege it is to be governor of these wonderful islands. And it's over 3 years now, which is incredible. 29th of October, 2018 was when we arrived. It seems a long time ago, and a lot has happened. Look, I know that this is a challenging time for our community. We've obviously had a big increase in cases of COVID, community transmission, but we are moving into a new phase where we do have to live with this virus. Obviously, we have a small number of people in hospital, and our thoughts and prayers are with them, and we wish them a very speedy recovery. But I think we can take some reassurance from the fact that the cases and the numbers of cases are very steady. It's not increasing significantly. It's sort of hovering around 100, or just above 100 each day. And I do think that we are as well protected as actually probably anywhere else in the world, or very many places in the world. And obviously that first protection is for everybody to continue with the mask wearing, the social distancing, sanitizing hands. And we then have the vaccine, an incredibly effective vaccine, and fantastic achievement to get to 80% of our entire population having had a first dose. Again, very, very few countries in the world can say that. The booster, I think, is hugely important, and very pleased that we managed to get the UK to agree that we were able to roll boosters out to over 40s, and we are able to roll boosters out to teachers and frontline staff who are 6 months on from their second dose. So that's all really important. So I think again, encouraging people to take the vaccine is really, really important, because we have COVID in our community, and it is the best way to protect everybody. So we have to. We have to continue, all of us, I think, to show a personal and individual responsibility to protect ourselves and protect everyone in the community. And I sort of feel we should move away a bit from this focus on the number of cases. I know it's obviously people want to know every day how many cases, but really now it's about keeping people out of hospital, and that's the key thing. We want to keep our people safe and keep them out of hospital, and that's all those protections that we're all doing to try and make sure that we keep people out of hospital. And I was sort of reassured a little bit by what Dr. Lee said as well, that in our islands we take a very cautious approach to people going into hospital. Perhaps in the UK or in other countries we wouldn't have. I think it's 11 at the moment people in hospital. And I do want to say, obviously, Sister Islands is a particular concern, and I understand that with a lot of cases there. And the demographic on the Sister Islands, that is a big concern, and I absolutely understand that. And then the sort of the last big sort of change for us, the protection, is the lateral flow tests, and I think government is rolling out that policy, and that really is a game changer to enable people to be able to go back to work, go back to school, and not have to have large numbers of people in isolation. So I'm still optimistic and positive about the future. I know government is very committed to the 20 November date and removing the quarantine for vaccinated travellers on that date. And I just feel we have to move forward as a community, and we are learning how we live with this virus and trying to make sure we can keep our everyday normal lives going as to the extent that we can. I think that's happening almost throughout the world now. If you look at other countries,
that is so true. Yes. Have the medical experts explain? We've been so fortunate. We've only had 2 deaths so far.
Yeah,
we haven't really have not had that many serious cases of COVID-19, even with the hospitalizations and everything. Have they indicated why we're in still such a favorable position as far as the low number of deaths? For instance, we look at Bermuda. I think they're up to 104, 106, somewhere around there now. Does it have to do with our vaccination rates or any other things? Any indications?
I mean, I would argue that's exactly what it is, and that's what I understand from talking to our medical experts, that the vaccine and the high take-up of the vaccine is providing really, really strong protection for our community. So yes, I think that is having a big impact on slowing down the spread and keeping people safer, and certainly keeping people from having to go into hospital. I think the thing about the COVID and vaccines is that we all know now that you can get COVID if you're vaccinated, and that's. But what seems to be the case is that you don't spread it as much to other people as if you are unvaccinated. And of course, the really crucial thing is that, and we know the evidence is absolutely clear, it couldn't be any clearer now, that the vaccine does prevent you from getting seriously ill or, heaven forbid, worse, dying from this terrible disease. So I do think the vaccines have helped us. Of course, we had such a safe bubble for so long, yes. Which I think lulled us into a false sense of security, really. So I understand why it's psychologically it's all of a sudden a bit of a shock that we have so many cases. But I do think the vaccines are doing what they're designed to do and keeping the overwhelming majority of us safe from this terrible virus. And I think if people haven't had their booster yet, I would really encourage people to go. I think we're something like 25% of the over 50s have had their booster. The studies about the booster are really positive. It is extremely effective. It sort of tops up your immunity levels, and we have very high coverage of over 50s, over 60s with the vaccine. I mean, if those figures that we have are correct, we do have very high coverage, which I think again is a hugely positive advantage for our islands.
Definitely. Governor, I know that the civil service comes under your purview, even though a lot of the responsibility has been delegated to the deputy governor. Yeah. People are curious to know, what is happening as far as the civil service is concerned, vaccinations and other things. And this other topic may be a little bit away from you, but some people still are confused in terms of these lateral flow tests and how they go about reporting them, and then how long do they wait? What do they have to do there? So we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, if you could discuss those two topics, we would be extremely grateful as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Come on, Cayman. Let's get ready to reopen. Countries all over the world are proving life can go on and we can safely coexist with COVID-19 in our community. With open borders, our readiness will be vital to protect each other and our islands. We can do this. Have your voice heard and pledge you are ready to safely reopen. Visit reopencayman.com. Join the movement and pledge that you are ready to reopen on November 20.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with us this morning, Governor Mr. Martyn Roper. He's discussing COVID-19 situation in the Cayman Islands, but will also be prepared to discuss other issues as well. One of our WhatsApp messages we also received, Governor says that will we be fighting to get that new tablet here in Cayman that the UK has approved, as we have fought to get the jab here as well. And they say it's a huge game changer is underway.
I think that's right. I think it's really exciting that these new treatments are coming onto the market. This news from the UK only broke yesterday, but it does look as if the UK has approved the use of a pill, which I think is designed if you have COVID. And then you also have a health vulnerability. So it's not for everybody who gets COVID. It's just for specific people who may be more at risk. But it does strike me that for our community, that is obviously something we would be very interested in obtaining. I'll be speaking to the UK later today just to find out what's happening on that. But I think if this is a treatment that becomes available on the market in the same way that HSA procure medicines for various things all the time, this would probably become something that they would just do. But I will be speaking to the UK to see whether we can support or whether we can sort of fast track that. But I have no more information than that at the moment because it literally only broke today. But I did see this morning as well that there's a separate Pfizer pill, which I think is very similar to the one that the UK has approved, although the Pfizer one I think still requires FDA or CDC approval, which they're trying to fast track. But, as we live with COVID, these treatments will come on the market, and these will help us to live with it. I don't think COVID is ever going to go away. It's always going to be there, and a bit like flu, some people will get it, but if we have these treatments, we can protect people from it. So I think it's very exciting development, and I'll, as governor, I'll obviously do what I can to support Cayman in obtaining those. But I imagine it's probably more for HSA just to procure them. UK seems to have only a limited supply, so I just need to check what the situation is with those. But I do have a teleconference with London later this morning on broader COVID issues, and I'll be inquiring about that one as well.
Okay. Now, the position in relation to UK approval for the Cayman Islands, let's say if something is approved by the US, the FDA and CDC or whatever approvals are required there, if we wanted to procure it here in the Cayman Islands, do we still need UK approval, or does our local legislation say what approvals are necessary for us to procure certain drugs?
I think if it's something that's being provided by the UK, so the vaccine, then that would require UK approval, obviously, for it to be sent to the Cayman Islands. But no, I think Cayman is free to procure from wherever it wishes to procure, and then it can pass its own domestic laws and regulation to do that. So if something is approved by the FDA and it's being used in the US and Cayman wants to import that, then my understanding is that would be perfectly permissible within our rules. I mean, the issue around the vaccine and children is a very interesting one, because the US seems to have gone quite fast to approve a vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds, and I think they're actually starting to. They're already vaccinating 5 to 11-year-olds in the US. Now, the UK has gone much slower on that. There seems to be a more cautious approach to vaccinating 5 to 11-year-olds in the UK. So at the moment, because the UK is providing the vaccine, we in the Cayman Islands can't vaccinate children aged between 5 and 11. We would need the UK's agreement for that because the UK is providing the vaccine. But they have been quite flexible, and we've been able to move a bit faster on, say, booster rollout because of our local sort of situation. So I think the UK is adopting a very sort of flexible and pragmatic approach on this.
Excellent. So folks want to know what's happening with the civil service.
I mean,
as
first
far as COVID-19 vaccinations are concerned.
First of all, let me pay a big tribute to the Deputy Governor, who I think is doing an incredible job behind the scenes and leading the programme board, which is advising the government on all the policies and measures that are in place. And I know that the civil service and our public health officials, HSA, our doctors, Dr. Lee, Dr. Rodriguez, everybody, people are working incredibly hard and around the clock to keep us safe. And I do want to say a huge thank you to everyone who is working incredibly hard. Yes. So as far as the civil service is concerned, we are part of the broader policy, particularly around lateral flow tests now, which will be really important to make sure that we can keep business service going in various departments, because the key thing about the lateral flow tests is that an entire household won't have to isolate. If you've been vaccinated and maybe you have one person in the household who is positive, other members of the household, if they take a daily lateral flow test and are negative, can go to work, and that's happening already. I've seen that happening in civil service departments where, for example, in fact, there is, even in my own office, there is an example where a staff member has a child who was at one of the schools, has got COVID, is positive, but the staff member is able to come to work because that staff member is doing a lateral flow test every day and is negative. And that's the way we manage the risk. Now we've got community transmission. That's a sensible way of managing the risk, and will allow more people back into the community than would have been the case under the previous system. So I think the lateral flow tests, I know there have been some supply issues. I know it's been challenging for people to get hold of them. I think that will ease. I mean, there there are global supply challenges at the moment anyway, which is not helping. But I do expect that to ease, and I know a large order has been placed as well for lateral flow tests by government. So I think lateral flow tests are a real game changer in this, and will be one of those tools which help us to live with COVID as we move forward.
So in the case of the civil service, then are they being provided with the lateral flow test kits?
Yes. That's there is a rollout program for civil servants as well to enable. I mean, particularly with a particular focus clearly on the front line and ensuring that people on our front line who are more at risk are protected. But there is a policy to provide sort of 2 a week to civil servants so that they can test themselves and make sure that we are managing the risk from COVID.
Okay, and sorry, as far as frontline workers, let's say customs and immigration, when our borders open, any specific policies will be in place for them?
So I mean, we've got the policy on vaccinating sort of work permit holders who are renewing their work permits, or new people coming onto the island who will need to have a COVID vaccine to be able to take up work, and I think that is in place, that policy. And the government has decided that it's not going to have a vaccine mandate for civil servants and sort of Caymanians, but we are. I mean, the Deputy Governor is responsible for this and will be working to. I think we need to make sure we're testing. I think testing is absolutely fundamental, because I think particularly for staff on our front line, we need to be managing the risk. So for example, at the prison or in fire or at CBC, we need to know that if there are still people who are not vaccinated, we need to know through testing that they do not have COVID, because that is a big risk for us. So there's work going on behind the scenes on that, but I expect that we will want to ensure that we are testing everybody to make sure that we're managing the risk.
Okay, and this Civil Service Association, they're on board with this as well?
Well, you'll have to ask the Deputy Governor about that. I mean, the Civil Service Association liaises directly with him as head of the civil service. But I haven't. It hasn't come across my desk that there is a big issue with that at the moment. But the Deputy Governor would be more up to date with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Governor, you may have answered this before, but this was an email that was sent in, and it may be worth repeating. So this person asked the question: is there any information or estimated timeline as to when Cayman might receive the Pfizer vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds, given that it has been approved in the United States? And like I said, you spoke about it.
I did sort of just briefly cover that. I mean, at the moment, the UK isn't rolling out the vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds. It hasn't passed through the UK's regulatory system, and so it hasn't been approved in the UK. So that means that we are unable to do that at the moment. But as I said, the UK has been relatively flexible and pragmatic. So if there was a strong request from Cayman to consider that, it's something that I would be able to take back to London. It is quite interesting for us, though, that the US is already doing this, because what that does mean, of course, is that US tourists, because at the moment when we do open the border on the 20th of November, we're not allowing children, if they're unvaccinated, to come with vaccinated parents. But if the US is rolling out a vaccine and it's just one dose, slightly less than the full dose to children, then that potentially in the months to come opens up the possibility of vaccinated children of that age coming into Cayman. So I think it's probably a positive development for the broader tourism sector.
So are you saying there that when we reopen in November, the policy in relation to I shouldn't say in November. We are in November now.
We are in
the policy in relation to unvaccinated children will remain the same.
As I know, it's under discussion. It's under discussion. So I mean, and that's for the government, not for me to really sort of comment on that. But I think if that policy remains in place, that the development in the US is potentially an interesting one, and would allow those children to come in safely because they will have had the vaccine.
Okay. We're going to take another commercial break, and I have a few more. I'll read them during the break. At some point in time, Governor, also, I shared with my audience probably last week, if not this week, last week, the amendments to the British Nationality Act 1981.
Right.
And how it will, changes there will affect persons who are seeking to become British Overseas Territorial citizen and who were unable to do so because you couldn't pass it on by descent. But some changes have been made to that as well, and I'd like you to enlighten our listening and viewing audience in relation to that. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, with Governor Martyn Roper will continue after this short commercial break.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Had a look at those investment options yet? Too busy. Look at today. Workout, breakfast, take the kids to school, back-to-back meetings, take Pepper to the vet, and she's apparently got allergies now, so... And that was all before 12. But you look relaxed. That's because my money's as busy as you.
With RF, you can access the best in local and international investments to keep your money busy, so you can spend more time focusing on you. Contact us at rfgroup.com to find out more. RF, money at work.
If you've recently gone into isolation and need assistance with urgent supplies, help is near.
You can call the Isolation Support Line Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., or Saturdays between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. 1-800-534-3530 or 946-3530, or email isolationsupport@gov.ky. Please remember to monitor for symptoms of fever and cough. If they get worse, contact the flu hotline at 1-800-534-8600 or email flu@hsa.ky. If you have difficulty breathing, call 911.
For more tips, visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. For those of you who don't know it by now, and you should, because I announced it on Wednesday. We announced it this morning. Miss Susan announced it as well. And he is in the studio now. He's been in here since about 8:17 this morning as well, none other than His Excellency Governor Martyn Roper. So, Governor, this person has written in and said to ask you about the private sector who are demanding that their employees to get vaccinated or they don't have a job. What is being done about that? Or is there anything that can be done to help those employees? Are there any policies in place for this type of employers?
I mean, I think that's sort of straying into areas that are well beyond my sort of purview or remit as governor. But I think, as I understand it, it is for private sector companies to decide their own sort of policies in terms of what they require to keep their workforce safe. And I mean, there are a number of companies out there who require people to be vaccinated, require people to be tested. But that's really I think that's a matter for the private sector, but that's straying beyond my areas of responsibility.
Mm-hmm. But if you, from a personal viewpoint, if you were to give your advice if you were to offer advice to employers in these times where there is economic contraction throughout the world, even though we see in the Cayman Islands where the construction industry is still booming. What would you say on a personal level to employers about trying to preserve as many jobs as possible? And I know that it can be quite challenging when you have an employee who refuse for whatever reasons to go along with the company's policy. They may have valid reasons. They may not have. But what do you say to them? Because there is that possibility at the end of the day, if they lose their jobs, they may become a charge on the government of the Cayman Islands. The government may have to support them as well. So from a personal standpoint, any advice that you would give?
I mean, from a personal standpoint, I sort of come back to individual responsibility, and I think it's really important that as a community we do what we can to protect ourselves and each other from this terrible virus, and obviously it's each individual's decision as to whether they decide to get vaccinated or not. But I do believe companies have the right to put in place the policies they feel are appropriate to protect the wider workforce. So I think that's really something that has to be worked out at each sort of individual company level. But ultimately, the government is there to step in any democratic society if people are in need of social assistance and get into really difficult situations. Then we have a safety net, and there is a means for people to get support ultimately.
Okay, this one, Governor says, good morning. Please thank His Excellency the Governor and the UK government for all their help to Cayman in this global year of COVID pandemic. I also want me to ask you if, in your opinion, there is sufficient resources in Cayman to enforce the COVID-19 regulations and protocols, and is there really a will to prosecute offenders for breaches of the law and the regulations? Also, is the program board and other stakeholders leveraging communications effectively enough? For example, Radio Cayman, which has a huge and diverse local following, and not just using social media. Well, and I didn't make that up.
I'll try. There's some very good questions in there, and I'll try and sort of go through them. I mean, first of all, just to say thank you on highlighting the sort of UK support. I mean, I'm very pleased as governor that the UK has been able to support us. Even at the very beginning, we had a Public Health England team here helping us develop the capacity to do the PCR testing, which was really important early on, and then the vaccine supply, and now the booster. So I think this has had a positive impact on the broader sort of Cayman UK relationship, which is obviously very welcome from my perspective. Yes. I mean, the question about are we prosecuting enough people, I think, is a very, very important question, and thank you for that. obviously everyone remembers the sort of Skylar Mack case quite a while ago now, and I think one of the challenges has been for the police to have the evidence to be able to take that to the DPP and have enough evidence to be able to, for the DPP to be able to say yes, that can go to trial, and that has been a real challenge. I think earlier this week there is another one going to court. The
and those are the high-profile ones.
An individual arrived with who was positive, so that one is going to court. So it is happening, and I think what the message people have to understand is that where the police have the evidence and where we can prosecute, that will happen. So the laws of our country have to stand and have to be implemented, and if people break those rules and regulations which are designed to protect everybody in our community, that there will be a punishment for that, and our law enforcement teams will do what they have to do.
Okay, and then they spoke about the program board and the government in terms of communication.
Well, the deputy governor and his team have done an amazing job to put in place an incredibly wide range of measures to support government in being able to take the decisions that government is taking, and let me again sort of just pay tribute to the Premier and his ministerial team for the incredibly conscientious and focused way that they've tackled this pandemic. There's been a huge amount of work going on behind the scenes, which of course from where I sit I see that on a daily basis, and putting the safety and welfare of everybody in our community uppermost has been absolutely fundamental. I think the programme board is busy working and doing everything it can to make sure that we are ready on the 20th. I understand that the vast majority of that work is in place. There's still one or two things that need to be tied down, but from where I sit, the amount of effort and work and the conscientiousness of the people who are doing that is really really impressive to see. So I applaud the work that they're doing. The public health side, obviously, it's been challenging because of the big increase in cases, and in some ways we were always going to be challenged at some point, and these challenges are tests of our systems, and no system is perfect. So you do some things well, you do some things less well, but you learn from it, and I think lessons have been learned from the last few weeks, which puts us in an even stronger position as we move towards 20 November. Mm-hmm. There is just one other point I want to add on that, because people often say to me, well, we've got community transmission, it's increasing, why would we open up to tourism on the 20th of November?
That, yes.
And I'm getting those questions as well. But I think one response to that is, if you look at somewhere like Turks and Caicos, and I've followed that very closely and speak to my governor colleague there as well, they've been open throughout pretty much, and the vast majority of their COVID cases have not come from tourists. The vast majority of their COVID cases have actually come from their own community, because it's our own community which is travelling backwards and forwards and then mixing much more in society than our tourists do. And tourists are here usually for quite a short period as well, which is also means that the COVID risk is going to be lower. So I personally, based on other territories' experience, don't believe that opening gradually to tourism is going to add very much to our tourist risk, and I don't see any reason why we can't go ahead with that on the 20th of November.
Yeah, and that point that you made about the travellers, I was speaking to someone earlier this week, and they were saying whenever they have to go to the United States for medical reasons or whatever, they take everything with them. They travel to where they have to go, back to their hotel room, stay in their room, maybe order food or something like that, but try to avoid mixing with the general population if you're there for a specific reason, and that helps as well. Ms. Susan, you ready for us headline news? Not yet? Okay, we still have some time here. So this person says, thank you for addressing the question regarding the Pfizer vaccine for 5 and 11 years old. And say they don't have an additional question, but however, do want to state that there are many parents who would be grateful for their children to have access to this vaccine for 5 and 11-year-olds for their daily safety and to travel to see extended family, amongst other reasons. So just reinforcing that point. And
I will certainly explore that with the UK. It is slightly more complicated than just rolling out the vaccine itself, because I think for that age group it is a smaller amount of the vaccine, and it's only one dose.
Like a third of the full dosage.
Yeah,
yes.
so that would need to be specifically prepared and packaged, and the UK is not doing that at the moment for its own population.
Okay,
so that would, I can see that would be an obstacle to that happening. But clearly the US is moving ahead faster than others on this, which I know in the UK there's a lively debate on whether we should be vaccinating 5 to 11-year-olds.
Yes. Folks, top of the hour headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, the conversation with Governor Martyn Roper will continue. Keep those emails coming. Keep those WhatsApp messages coming as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
There are currently 11 COVID-19 patients hospitalized in the Cayman Islands. Government says 2 are receiving supplemental oxygen. There are no patients on ventilators. There are currently no COVID-19 related pediatric admissions, and all hospitalized patients are in, quote, stable condition. At the COP26 Climate Summit on day 6, the focus has turned to youth and public engagement. Climate activists Greta Thunberg and Vanessa Nakati are taking part in a march in Glasgow organized by the school strike movement, Fridays for Future. Young people will suffer the worst effects of climate change if, quote, not enough is done to stop it. COP26's overall goal is to keep the world on track for 1.5 degrees of warming, which scientists say will help the world avoid the worst impacts of climate change. And an experimental pill to treat COVID developed by the U.S. company Pfizer, according to clinical trials, cuts the risk of hospitalization or death by 89% in vulnerable adults. The drug, called Paxlovid, is aimed at the elderly and others at high risk of severe disease. It comes a day after the UK medicines regulator approved a similar treatment from Merck, Sharp and Dohme. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Governor Martyn Roper. Have another question here. This one asks, can you ask the governor if he is familiar with the concept of a sovereign wealth fund? And if yes, would you support one for Cayman? The person says that in their opinion, it would be immensely popular and also help to improve the quality and standard of living here.
That's definitely a matter for the local government, but I mean, I am familiar with them. I think Norway is a very good example of a country which set one of those up, and it's an incredibly valuable fund for Norway. A lot of people sort of say the UK itself missed a trick in the 70s when it had enormous sort of North Sea oil and gas revenues, and a lot of people said we should have set up a sovereign wealth fund with some of that. So it does work for some countries, and it's a way of investing for the future and then having greater access to funds in the future. But that is definitely a matter for the local government, and I not for me to really comment further on that.
And we certainly have things that they're not sovereign wealth funds, but we have funds that have been established, like our environmental
funds
yes, and stuff like that. So we have
you do it in yes, that's very true.
Yes,
yeah.
Okay, this one, Governor says, Governor, thanks for the British support. This is indeed a good time to be an overseas territory, with the borders to be open, and we don't have a handle on cases locally. Do we have the infrastructure in order to weather a serious outbreak of community spread? For example, do we have enough ventilators? Do we have human resources? Do we have that agreement with Cuba still in place? What, in your mind, will trigger a stay in place or shutdown?
I mean, I think the Premier has been very clear publicly that we're not anywhere near going back into lockdown, and in fact that I think is not a policy which throughout the world, if you look now, is seen as the best response to COVID. We all do have to live with this, and I do believe that in the Cayman Islands we are very blessed in terms of the health facilities that we have, and if you compare in terms of the number of beds that we have compared to other similar-sized countries or even larger countries, we are in a good position. I know there's a lot of work going on around whether the field hospital, which we did have in place previously, whether that needs to be there as a contingency. But as I said, I think we have a very small number of people in hospital at the moment, and yes, we have quite a large number of positive cases, but that is very steady at the moment. So we are dealing with it, we are coping with it, and we are handling with it. And as the lateral flow tests become more and more available, that will really help us to manage it further. So I have every confidence in our in HSA, in our medical practitioners, in Dr. Lee, that we have that under control.
Okay, folks, I have good news for you. We're going to open up the phone lines. We're going to ask you to please be brief with your questions, because we know that several people will want to talk as well. The governor is going to stay with us until about 9:30. We're going to take another commercial break in about another 10 minutes or so, but the phone lines are open now for you to call in as well. And while we're waiting for those calls, Governor, if we could speak a little bit about the amendments to the British Nationality Act and the impact that it may have on the Cayman Islands as opposed to other overseas territories.
I think you summarised the situation very well in your comments earlier. I think this is something which a bit of an anomaly in the 1981 Act, which did prevent some people in the British overseas territories from actually getting British nationality, but through descent. That has now been put right. So I think it's a positive step forward, and it will affect different territories in different ways. But I know that when we informed government here, that was welcome, because it's something that the overseas territories have been asking for quite some time. Okay, and we can talk a little bit about COP26. We know that the Premier is over there, and I think someone sent something in relation to that, but we do have a caller. Let's grab the caller first. Caller, Good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Governor, I'm asking about the lateral flow test. We have a situation here where the child goes to school, so he has his lateral flows. But to me, I thought a lateral flow would have been a blood-drawn test. It is still a swab test. And my little nephew, he didn't die, but he was uncomfortable. And I'm just wondering how we're going to look at that if a blood-drawn test is anywhere in the near future for the UK.
I'm just sorry to hear about your nephew. I hope he's all right. I mean, I think the lateral flow tests, and I've done a couple of them myself. And I've seen them done. They are very, very easy to use and far more pleasant than the PCR test, because the lateral flow test, you only need to, it's not unpleasant when you have to place it in your nose and both nostrils and just move it around for a few seconds, and then you get the results within 15 minutes. So they're very, very easy to use, and if that's done properly, nobody should feel any discomfort at all from the lateral flow test. That they aren't uncomfortable, unlike the PCR test, which I think we all have experienced those, and that is a bit different. And I think the really important point about lateral flow tests is that the studies that are coming out recently are showing that they are even more effective than we thought when they first came onto the market. They're not 100% effective. They're not as effective as the PCR test, but the idea behind lateral flow tests is that you do lots and lots of them, so you are then identifying COVID cases, and you're able to isolate that individual. So being able to do that on such a wide scale helps us manage the risk of COVID. It helps us contain the spread of the virus, and we can really use these lateral flow tests in that way. And they're also very, very good at picking up if you have COVID. So I really would just reassure people that they're not unpleasant or uncomfortable if they're done properly.
Okay, caller.
Hello.
Yes, you're still there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, but I'm still interested in if you have any knowledge of a blood drawn situation coming down the pipes. Are they working on anything? Because,
I'm not aware that we are working on that. Certainly not for the Cayman Islands. I think we're going to be ordering very large supplies of the lateral flow test, and that will be the main tool we use to try and keep our community safe and check who has and who hasn't got the virus.
What about in developmental stages? That's really the question I'm asking. Maybe I'm not.
Well, I may not be the right person to ask. I'm sure the sort of the medical experts may know more about that than I. But I haven't seen anything on that recently. I have to be honest.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller. We'll grab another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes.
Good morning, caller. Good morning.
How are you?
Fine. I'm fine. How are you? Go right ahead.
And good morning to His Excellency, the Governor.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you today?
Pretty good, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Thanks for coming on the radio, sir.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. See, first of all, first things first, I want to give a big shout out these days of what they call it to you and the whole staff of the Radio Cayman.
Thank you.
And I join that shout out to OC. I think this show is wonderful and incredibly informative about everything that's going on, and Radio Cayman are a national treasure.
Exactly. So OC, first of all, I would like to tell you that it was interesting. The next day after I talked with you, or in the afternoon, I think it was. Sorry. Someone from the Lands and Survey called me.
Haha, see that? The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yes, and they hope to meet with me or have a conversation with me this week coming.
Excellent.
So I want to thank you for, listening to me and my complaints. But to the governor, I would like to say, sir, that, I've been up here now 17 years gone in June. And, with what we are trying to do is to try to keep the island in bread. You understand?
Yeah.
And for us to sort of expand our production, we definitely need the space. And I know that, I understand that the building next door, that the government intend to demolish it, but I think that would be a hazard and it would hurt our business very, very, very deeply, because there's no way on this planet that you can demolish a building with a bakery going on next door. I mean, it would be ridiculous in my book, sir. Because I know about demolishing buildings. My father was quite involved in that sort of thing. and building buildings as far as the materials is concerned. But I would ask you, sir, if you could possibly not have that done in the Cayman. I know it's not under your portfolio, but I'm pretty much sure that if you have some influence on it, it will stop it, sir. That's all I'm asking right now at this moment, and thank you so much for coming on the radio, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller, for that. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, if there's no one on the line, Gov, we're going to talk about COP26.
COP26, okay.
Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new 2021 Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough, and sore throat to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Radio Cayman, your #1 community station, would like to remind you that we are in the hurricane season, and in order to survive a hurricane, you need to be prepared. If officials' sources say a hurricane is imminent, please board up or shutter up windows in your home or place of business. Remember to use good lumber, as makeshift boarding may actually cause more damage. Also put strong bracing on outside doors so that they are not blown off or blown in.
This hurricane advice was brought to you by Radio Cayman, your caring community radio station.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Governor Martyn Roper. This WhatsApp message, Governor, says, good morning. And they're asking me to read this on the radio. Climate summit in Scotland. I hope Mr. Pannon will really do something about it in Cayman. Like stop killing all of the mangroves, stop or put 100% duties on all those big V8 engine, gas drinking, guzzling vehicles. Stop government officials from having them only driving around, burning gas, polluting. Do something in general to cut back on too many cars on the road, like 100% duty on that. So they're basically saying, that we need, here in the Cayman Islands, we need to do much more in terms of combating climate change.
Well, thank you very much for the question. And I think COP26, the big climate change conference, which is taking place in Glasgow, Scotland, in the UK, it's an absolutely crucial event for our entire planet, because we really do face an existential challenge on our warming planet and doing something about that. So I was really pleased that the Premier despite everything that's going on here, he was able to go to COP26 and ensure that Cayman's voice was heard. He had an exchange, an interaction with His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, who, when he came here 2 years ago, was briefed about Cayman's Commonwealth Growth Fund, which I understand the Premier was able to speak to His Royal Highness about, and I think this is a really valuable contribution Cayman can make globally, because this fund will enable the private sector to raise finance so that we can invest in sustainable development projects, we can invest in renewable energy, and it is absolutely important. So Cayman, despite being a small territory, is greatly affected by climate change, effect on our coral reefs, on rising sea levels, and it's the Premier's area. But I was also extremely impressed with the announcement of a new Sustainable Development and Climate Resilience Ministry, and I know that there is real ambition to move forward on that whole agenda. Just on all of us setting an example. I mean, the Jaguar that we have, that I use as the flag car, is getting a bit old now. We've had it for many years. It's breaking down quite a lot, and I am in discussion with the civil service and the government about whether we might replace it with an electric car next year. There are electric versions, and we have solar panels at Government House, and it could be charged there. So I think all of us need to be thinking about this agenda and working out how each of us can make our own contribution to preserving and saving our planet.
Okay. Since you touched on that note about the car, Governor, and earlier you remarked about how quickly 3 years have also gone by. Now, we know normally governors are here for 3 years, but it's not unusual, if requested, for the UK to add an additional year on to that. If you're going to do so, we would want you to announce it right here on Radio Cayman. But do you have any intentions of seeking to remain?
I'll give you a scoop. I'll give you a scoop on the record. But no, I am doing a fourth year, so I will be here for the whole of 2022, probably into early 2023. But that's probably then. That'll be 4 years, almost 4.5 years. I think it will then be time for me to move on and for somebody else to come and sit in this role. Okay. So I'm still around for quite a while yet. So a long time to go, and I'm very pleased about that. And I want to continue to do my bit to support everyone on the islands. And I've said before, it's a wonderful job, and diplomacy, sometimes it's hard to see the tangible effects of what you do, but I know that in this job I can make a difference to people's lives, and I get, as a civil servant of over 35 years now, I get a lot of motivation about just being able to make lives better. Deputy Governor talks about world-class civil service, making lives better, excellent customer service, and I have an opportunity to do that every day, and that drives me forward as a civil servant working for the community.
Excellent. Good to know that. We had one comment about the Her Majesty's Prison Northward, and we know that doesn't fall under your responsibility. That is now under an elected minister. But some persons have voiced their concern about the number of cases there, and they've voiced I'll say this, but I have nothing to support it. They claim that the virus has been brought in by guards into the prison, as opposed to it manifesting itself from the inmates themselves, and they had some concerns about that.
And obviously, we do understand why COVID at the prison would be a massive concern. It's very difficult, for obvious reasons, for proper social distancing, and the conditions are sort of quite cramped and difficult. I think it's inevitable that it came in from outside, because that's the only way really it could have got into the prison. So yeah, I think it could have come in from prison guards. I think that's very likely. We know that a number of them are not vaccinated as well, which I think is a huge concern. The prison is under the ministry, but of course anything that touches on national security does come under the governor's responsibility. So I do keep a very close watch on the security aspects of what's happening at Northwood. I pay huge tribute to Steve Barrett, the prison director, and his staff, who do an incredible job day in, day out, keeping our country safe and looking after the prison. And I know that they're working extremely hard to manage this COVID outbreak, and they've had to sort of isolate and lock down bits of the prison to keep people separated. So I think we just have to admire the job that they're doing and wish them all the best in trying to contain that situation. And from a civil service side, we will do absolutely everything we can to support the prison director and his team in managing that difficult situation.
Okay. Now, we know budget time is coming up as well. And all economies, all countries have been challenged with COVID-19, the additional expenditures that they have had to make, shift funds from one place to the other. As a general policy for the overseas territories, or if we spoke specifically about the Cayman Islands, would the UK government be in any position, if we had to be more flexible as far as our budget is concerned, and if we had to breach any of the guidelines that have been set, would the UK government be receptive to that, bearing in mind that COVID-19 is not something that we created ourselves? As a matter of fact, we have done a tremendous job, of course, with the help of the UK in controlling it in the Cayman Islands. Yes. But in so doing, we have expended lots of money and still more to expend as well.
I think absolutely the UK would be very flexible and pragmatic about that. But I do think Cayman has done an amazing job at managing its budgets, both under the previous government and continuing under this government. Cayman has been very proud that it's never sought financial assistance from the UK. We do provide assistance in specific areas where we can sort of leverage particular technical expertise from the UK. So the climate change risk assessment, which was announced in the press this week, that's an area where we've provided some funding to help that specific objective. But Cayman has never had budgetary support from the UK, unlike other territories.
Since 1975.
That's right, and that's a very proud record, and I know it's one that the elected government is very keen to maintain. And Cayman is a wealthy and sophisticated jurisdiction, and has a very strong reputation in London for how it's managed its finances. But as we deal with what has been a difficult situation for every country in the world economically, I know that the UK will adopt a sort of flexible and pragmatic approach, whilst encouraging Cayman to stick as close as possible to the framework for fiscal responsibility, which has helped to provide the discipline to keep those budgets in very good shape.
Okay, one more question for you, and then I'll give you an opportunity for some closing comment, because I know you're going to leave us at 9:30. We saw recently also where there is debate in the UK about reducing university fees, I think taking them down to something like about £7,500. Can you speak to the impact that would have for our Caymanians going over to the UK to study, especially those who would be British citizens as well?
Yes, absolutely. So I mean, I think one of the real advantages of students from here going to the UK is that you benefit from home UK fees, so paying the same as UK students, which isn't the case going to sort of places like Canada or the States, because countries often charge more for foreign students. That's the way they make the money. In the UK, we have many thousands of Chinese students who pay a lot more than British students. So that's really positive, because if the fees come down, that obviously makes it easier, financially better for Caymanians going to the UK. I am aware as well that they've just changed the rules to allow Caymanian students to access private finance as well, because a lot of people in the UK take out a loan, which is then paid back at quite low levels, and only if you
31 years or something like that, you have to pay.
And only if you reach a certain salary level do you start paying it back. Okay. So I did see earlier this week, I think we have now made that facility open to students coming from overseas territories. So I hope that is also a welcome addition as well. And just to put in a plug, I do think we have some of the best universities in the world. It's one of the areas where the UK really excels. And as governor, obviously, I hope as many Caymanians as possible will choose to go and study in the UK, and that helps cement the UK-Cayman relationship. It builds those links between the UK and Cayman. And I meet so many people as I go about my business who said, oh yes, I was at this university, I went to that university. And what that does for the links between the UK and Cayman is gold dust. It's absolutely vital to having those experiences and bringing that experience back. So I hope these new changes will encourage even more Caymanians to go to the UK and study.
Excellent. Some closing comments from you, Governor?
Well, just to say again, it's been an absolute pleasure, and as I said at the beginning, I do recognise that it feels uncomfortable at the moment that we have so many positive COVID cases in the community, but I do want to reassure everything that situation is under control. We're managing it, we're dealing with it, and I do think the vaccine protection is absolutely fundamental, enabling us to live with COVID and go about our normal lives. And as we often say in the UK, keep calm and carry on, I think is the message to everybody at the moment. And obviously we work very hard to keep people out of hospital and make sure we're looking after them, and obviously prayers and thoughts with anyone who is in hospital with this virus. But the vaccine is the way out of this, as we've said for a long time. And with these new developments, the 2 pills that we spoke about, there are things changing all the time which will enable us to live with this virus and make sure that we protect the vast majority of people from it.
And you will work tirelessly when there are new developments that will benefit the Cayman Islands coming from the UK to ensure that we are part of that.
I will. I give you absolutely. I will give you an assurance that, and I will be talking to the UK later this morning about that very exciting development.
Well, Governor, the constituency of the Cayman Islands are extremely grateful this morning for you being on Radio Cayman, sharing information with us, assuring us in terms of developments and what will happen. And we will look forward to more conversations with you. Thank you very much,
All right.
Governor.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Had a look at those investment options yet? Too busy. Look at today. Workout, breakfast, take the kids to school, back-to-back meetings, take Pepper to the vet, and she's apparently got allergies now, so... And that was all before 12. But you look relaxed.
That's because my money's as busy as you.
With RF, you can access the best in local and international investments to keep your money busy, so you can spend more time focusing on you. Contact us at rfgroup.com to find out more. RF, money at work.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
It's the International Men's Day Island-wide sales event on Friday, November 19. Enjoy awesome savings and amazing deals from your favorite stores and service providers. Honor the positive contributions of men and boys while supporting local businesses, in-store and online. Offers so incredible, you'll get something for the entire family. International Men's Day Island-wide sales event on Friday, November 19. Brought to you by the Family Resource Center and endorsed by the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce. Check out FRC's social media for a list of participating stores.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We still have about a half an hour to go on For the Record this morning. Again, I want to thank the governor for being on air, for sharing as much information as he could with you. And you heard breaking news right here on Radio Cayman that the governor will be here for an additional year. He has already requested it, and obviously it has been approved as well. After that year, not sure where he will go. We see, for instance, former governor of Bermuda. He is now in the British Virgin Islands over there. So sometimes they will move governors from one jurisdiction to the other as well. Speaking of the British Virgin Islands, they're having their challenges over there, and we're not sure what will happen, but based on what has come out of that commission of inquiry that just wrapped up their proceedings over there, what has emerged from that, I would say that it is not good. It is not good for the British Virgin Islands. And if history has anything to do with it, and if we look at 2007 in Turks and Caicos, that is an example of what will happen. Now, even to add to that, we see a situation where a judge ruled that the speaker should personally bear the cost associated with challenges that he made, and he claims that he made them on behalf of the their legislative assembly. There, he did so without the permission of the Attorney General. He did so without any approval from the members of their assembly, and it appears as if it may be somewhere close to about $300,000 in legal fees that he may have to pay. Just yesterday, their House of Assembly met and approved funds so that the Speaker would not have to pay them himself. There are factions within the British Virgin Islands who are upset with that, and we even saw some ministers, one junior minister and another minister, speak negatively about it, but at the same time voted for it. So the vote was, I think, 5-2, with several being absent as well. But I am sure that the UK will be taking note of that as well. But if I was a gambling man, I wouldn't put my money at this point in time on that government in the British Virgin Islands remaining in place. Just my views, just mine. And my views are based on what I've seen happen. Before, I had the opportunity to sit in the Foreign Affairs Committee in the UK Parliament when the complaints were being raised against the Turks and Caicos government at the time, when the Premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands was speaking to the committee as well. I saw there the adversarial approach that the committee took at that point in time, and we knew that something was coming down. After they made their visits over there and everything, we saw what happened after that. Turks and Caicos Islands were put under administration, and as a result, the UK took charge for several years, amended their constitution, wrote one for them. They've now come out of that, but it is not a good thing. It is not a good thing. We do have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Just fine, thank you. As usual, excellent show.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
I'm so glad His Excellency was on there with you, and I only wish that not just next year, but I wish it could have been an extra 3 years on top of that too. He so chooses. He's done an excellent job for us. Yes, hello.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Phone is acting up here. The issue is the prisons there and so forth. I thought all the prison guards were vaccinated as front line. And again, it shows that famous Mr. Churchill's word, courage, to get things right. You know, we have to make tough decisions sometimes, and tough decisions have to be made. That's just my view on that. I'm glad about the revision of the British Nationality Act, and it's necessary to try and get things straightened out with the descent thing. People that we all have family like in the Bay Island and so forth, and who have been sort of deprived of being, and I mean close family. And maybe that will be straightened out, and other places also. The issue of this climate change conference and all this, I notice that they keep saying, the newscasters, the scientists say this and the scientists and say this, as if all scientists have agreed with this. I know there are some dissenting voices and eminent scientists, might be a few, but I just wondered if they were given a place there to hear their opinions at this conference, or they were barred from coming there with their views, because there are a few scientists who do believe that we're entering another ice age slowly. So I just wondered, with scientists, they agree and they disagree, and we're seeing where they're trying to find the smallest subatomic particle now, and that would be the link to discovering how the universe was formed. And then when they do find out, if they do, they'll want to find a smaller one to that, and the smaller it'll go on forever, we know, and cost some people a lot of money. Anyway, I just thought I'd toss that out there. I do think we're in a good position with the COVID.
Yeah.
And I do think so, and everybody should get their vaccine.
I think it's called a God particle that they're looking for, right? Something like that. But tell me something now. If you were having a conference that is promoting climate change and encouraging persons to make changes, encouraging governments to make huge investments in that, do you think it would really be to your advantage to bring someone on board or to invite someone who shares an opposite view? I mean, there are times that you do that, but not when you're really trying to promote an idea. You don't bring the opposition on board.
That's why I asked if there was, because none of it.
Yeah.
And the thing is this, we have to face the fact. As you notice, it was obvious China and India and Russia did not, because they do know that they cannot take part in that. They know what it's going to cost. And we know it's going to cost the United States a lot of jobs and a lot of, let's face facts, dependence on the fossil fuels and all. Just think about it.
But it has the possibility to create new jobs as well.
Yes, it has that possibility. But they have a weird theirs and see the balance is not in their favor, and that's what they do, and that they have done. So it's not beneficial for the U.S. to sign on to something like that. But that's just my opinion. But as I said, I just wondered if there's any dissenting voices. We always have to do things to make our planet better off. We always have to do. But sometimes there are things that are sort of setting ourselves impossible targets.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought about that. And I do hope we'll continue with stopping deforestation and so forth. And even Brazil has agreed to that. We know Mr. Ludwig was one of the greatest deforesters in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he bought those 11 million acres down in Brazil. Anyhow, just thought I'd toss that in there.
Thank you.
I wish His Excellency all the very best and hope he will reconsider and do another 3-year term on top of that. That's just my personal opinion. Thank you again. Hope your show goes on for a half a day at least in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, folks, we're going to take our last commercial break. When we return, you've heard people complain on the radio about the monetary authority here in the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority. Most of those complaints have had to do with what is being done about the local financial institutions here and the local account holders and the additional charges and things of that nature. But they made a big move the other day. They sanctioned some businessmen. It was carried locally, but we didn't hear a whole lot about it. But the Bermudan newspaper, Royal Gazette, carried it, and I'm going to share that with you because we always hear when there's a Caymanian who's in trouble and who has either been incarcerated or whatever. Well, we need to hear about the rest of them as well, and you're going to hear it this morning. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Come on, Cayman. Let's get ready to reopen. Countries all over the world are proving life can go on and we can safely coexist with COVID-19 in our community. With open borders, our readiness will be vital to protect each other and our islands. We can do this. Have your voice heard and pledge you are ready to safely reopen. Visit reopencayman.com. Join the movement and pledge that you are ready to reopen on November 20.
The Department of Environmental Health would like to advise West Bay residents to get their bulk waste ready for collection from November 1st to the 6th. Household appliances, furniture, and other items too large to be handled by the weekly DEH collection crews should be placed by the roadside, where it is easily accessible to DEH collection crews. Metals and vegetation should also be separated from other bulk items. Do not obstruct the roadway or storm drains, or place tires, construction and demolition waste, hazardous materials, or electronics. For more information on the West Bay bulk waste collection from November 1st to the 6th, please contact DEH's Solid Waste Management Section at 949-6696.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're in the last leg of the show this morning. We say we have a birthday coming up tomorrow. Mr. William Powell, and birthday greetings for tomorrow coming from your 3 sons, Mr. William Powell, celebrating his birthday tomorrow. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Morning, Ossie.
Hey, morning. How are you?
Doing great. And the note that you ended speaking to issues relating to the monetary authority.
Uh-huh.
I listened to Barbados Prime Minister on a clip yesterday asking the question if a banking institution has become security companies. And I want that to sink in for a bit because the banking institution she suggests is an institution now where poor people can't put their money because instead of gaining an interest on it,
negative interest
you're
rates.
losing in fees.
Yes.
You're losing on the amount of fees that the banks has now. You're actually depositing your money with a security company that charge you a fee to do so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she asked the question, why is that the case? And she said, and spoke to the governor of the Bank of Barbados saying, if you guys don't fix it, we're going to legislate it. And I think she's onto something. And it would be interesting to see how it all play out and if it reverberates around the Caribbean. Because indeed, our banking institution has become security company for our money. And we lose when we deposit our money and fees. Because if you look at the interest rate that you got, time you finish, look at the zeros that are in front of actual number of value. You get tired looking for the interest rate and deposit.
Yes.
So I think we have arrived at a time where even here in Cayman that our government, our minister, who I believe is very capable of dealing with the issue, needs to look at that situation and to see if we could maybe even join minds with the Barbados Prime Minister and see if we can nail something down going forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, caller. And I think one of the defining features of the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, is the fact that she is not scared to speak out. She's not scared to speak, for her people. And not only that, but she can afford to say and to make those threats because she's in a position to carry them out as well. She can carry them out. But, it's something that we need to look at because almost every jurisdiction is being squeezed now by our banks. And that is why I encourage persons that if you have family members, if you have the ability to join the Cayman Islands Civil Service Cooperative Credit Union, do so. I encourage you. And credit union, you're getting that plug without even having to pay for commercial advertisement on Radio Cayman this morning. So, here's the article in the Royal Gazette. Cayman sanction against Bermuda businessman. It reads, a Bermudan businessman who was accused in the United States of a $135 million fraud in 2018 has now been told by authorities in the Cayman Islands that he and 2 other directors of his failed company, Alpha Re, are not fit and proper to hold any directorship positions of Cayman licensed companies. The Caymanian Compass reported that the enforcement notice was issued on October the 20th by the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority, naming Bermudan Gregory Tolaram, John Drake, and Edward Lynch. The 3, as well as Mark Graham and Donald Slolo, are also considered not fit and proper to have control or ownership of a licensed entity in Cayman. Miami-based Offshore Alert reports that the 5 businessmen are from Bermuda, the Bahamas, Canada, and the United States. Cayman Islands Monetary Authority has told liquidators of the insolvent Alpha Re that its insurance license has been revoked for continued breaches of the Insurance Act. The breaches were said to include non-payment of licensing fees in 2018 and 2019, failing to maintain solvency margins, and not having effective risk management and governance systems, failing to file annual returns and audited financial statements for 2016 and 2018, and not notifying the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority of any shareholder or ownership changes. The Royal Gazette reported 3 years ago that Utah-based Great Western Insurance Company launched allegations against 7 insurers and investment funds in Manhattan Federal Court. Mr. Toleran was amongst those listed as damages were sought, stemming from systematic breaches of fiduciary duty, fraud, and other misconduct, resulting in losses to Great Western that are in excess of $135 million. Alpha Re was formed in the Cayman Islands in February of 2011, but went into liquidation in January of 2018, several weeks after it found itself unable to pay $127 million arbitration awarded in favor of Great Western. The defendants were accused of providing false accounting statements to hide misconduct, breaches of fiduciary duty, and fraudulent activity. Great Western demanded arbitration against Alpha Re because the reinsurer allegedly failed to pay monthly account bills under a co-insurance agreement. Mr. Toleran, whom the Royal Gazette reported in 2018 as a 50-year-old father of one from Paget, that's Paget in Bermuda, was the managing director of Mercury Group Limited, Hamilton, providing specialized management and administrative support to its family office and corporate clientele. So that's the story on that particular issue. Cayman Islands Monetary Authority brought the hammer down on them, pointed out that they're not fit and proper persons to be directors of companies. Like I said before, when a Caymanian is in the news in a negative way, you don't hear a whole lot about it. Especially even here in Cayman. As a matter of fact, if you're Caymanian and they can take a photograph of you when you're doing what they call the perp walk, they take that and they splatter that all over the front page of newspapers as well. When the non-Caymanian does something kept in secret, swept under the rug, you don't hear anything about it. They don't wash their dirty linen in public. They keep it hush-hush amongst themselves, and sometimes it'll leak out one way or the other, but very seldom do you hear it publicly. We need to see more of this. Not only us, but regulators, international regulators need to see that the Cayman Islands, that we are flexing our muscles when it comes to regulation. Because if we don't continue to flex our muscles, if we don't continue to file those suspicious activity reports, if we don't continue to prosecute persons for financial crimes, then we're going to continue to be on a gray list or on a black list. We have to do whatever it is that we have to do to ensure that our reputation, our international reputation, is maintained as well. And when I say international reputation, I'm talking about a good reputation, not a bad one, not a bad reputation. I'm talking about a good international reputation is maintained as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, for the record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work. Again, I want to thank Governor Martyn Roper for being on the show this morning. I also want to thank all of those who made the effort to either call in or to send questions through email or WhatsApp as well. I hope and I trust that you enjoy this show also. And I want to remind you, we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are. And I ask you to extend a helping hand. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling, Dwayne, Megs at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands. Please stay safe. Exercise, practice social distancing, all of the protocols in place. Even if you're vaccinated, make sure you wear your masks and everything. God bless. Stay safe.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And RF Group, money at work.
You are listening to Radio Cayman.